Okay, this is the recipe for a cozy evening, how to make this card. And the stamps you have, this one here with the pine trees and the fence. And so we'll be inking that one up, and then we'll also be inking up recipes for a cozy evening. And when we ink them up, we're going to use the tuxedo black ink. It's fast drying, and it's also waterproof so that you can use watercolor pencils or crayons on it and the ink won't run. And we need a piece of paper this size. This is what you're going to ink the image on. This is your base card. It's gray. You're going to take that and you're just going to fold it in half, and then you'll have the card. It'll be that size. And this is the one for the recipe. So what you're going to do is take your tuxedo black and ink up the stamp good. And when you have it inked good, normally you would do this with two hands, but you're going to put it up here towards the upper hand side and put the pressure on there and just try not to rock it, and then lift it up. If you want to, you can ink it again, or you can just huff. It doesn't really matter. The one end here, and then you're just gonna lay it near the end. Doesn't have to be precise, and just press it again. And then that's what you're left with. The top of the card has the pine trees with the fence in there. You can lay that aside. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the recipe for a cozy evening. You're going to ink up the stamp really, really good. This stamp, you do want to make sure you ink it up extra well. And when you're making this card, I would recommend that you stand up and put even pressure on it, because sometimes it doesn't stamp as good as you might want it to. Sometimes the words don't come out. So just get that good and inked up. Then you're going to take your smaller piece of white cardstock here, and you're just going to center that over it. And then you're going to press on it as hard as you can. And then you're going to pick up on it. So let's see how it turned out. It turned out pretty good. You might want to add a little bit of where it says chocolate. You could go in there with a black fine tip black ink pen and add chocolate to that. But you can read it. And it's supposed to look like an old-timey recipe card anyways. So then you need to take a pair of scissors, and you're going to trim. You're just going to trim around the line here on the outside of where, the outline of the recipe card. And then after you have that trimmed, you're going to take your adhesive, and you're going to put it on this card here. So there it is, trimmed. And then you take your adhesive and you just put the recipe card on top of the cherry cobbler cardstock. You want to adhere this piece to the gray cardstock, and then you will take this and put this right in here. Also, before you do that, probably before you do all that, you want to take your watercolor pencil and just color this in here, and that's what I've done over here. So added some color to the top of the card. And then this is basically the finished product. You just want to, you take your green pencil, just kind of, color it in to make it look like pine trees here and the snow. It doesn't really have to be very precise. You just want to add some color to it. And then I want to show you how this works. This is a color blender, watercolor blender. So you just go in there, it's got a liquid in it, and it will blend the colors and make it kind of look like you've watercolored with it. And if you were to change colors, if you wanted to go to a different color, you would do it till it's clear up here, and then you could do another color. Say you wanted to do the fence or whatever color you wanted to do. That's basically how you do the coloring. You don't have to use the watercolor blender. It doesn't really matter. These pencils can be used with or without watercolor, but it's just nice to have it just in case you want to. And that's pretty much how you do that. And then when you're done, you would put it all together. So you would adhere this to your gray cardstock, and then these two would already be together, and then you would put that on like that, and then that would be your outcome of the card. And then on the inside, if you want to, you can put a white card inside that to write your note on, but the gray is really not that dark, or the blue on the other card, so you can really just write your note on the actual cardstock in here. It's not really necessary to put the piece of paper in there to write on. And if it was available, which I forgot to bring any, but when I make cards, I always put hand stamp by, and I put my name and when I made it. But you could actually just write that on the back if you wanted to. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I'm sorry I was not able to be there with you this weekend. Unfortunately, I ended up having to come to rehab because of an infection in my femur, and I haven't been home since December 28th. It's when I had my first surgery to get rid of the infection. So I hope y'all are having a great weekend with Starla and all the other ladies at Northeast Church that are helping prepare for your conference this weekend. Thank you for tuning in.